What's up, everyone? We just had the big new PoE 2 Dawn of the Hunt content reveal, and this was a big long stream where they covered everything coming in the big new patch, their first major patch coming on the 4th of April. And it was massive. There was so much revealed here. Over 100 new support gems, over 100 new uniques, new class, new ascendancies. There was honestly so much to go over. But the one thing I really want to talk about today is the big changes coming to the endgame, because they're changing pretty much everything. Waystones, towers, the actual endgame quest where you get your Atlas points has been completely reworked. They're adding entire new content, like brand new endgame mechanics to progress through with their own Atlas points and their own tablets, things like that. They're changing some of the content already in the game and giving them new rewards like expeditions and rituals. So there's a lot to go over, but here's everything you need to know about the endgame. Okay, first let's talk about the new content coming to the game. And the first one is this, the Rogue Exiles. So this is a new endgame feature. And what it is a AI will spawn, and this is the closest thing we have to PvP. It's a new AI that looks like another player. And they will be one of the characters in the game. They can have any item in the game as their equipped items, and they can have any of the skills in the game as their playstyle, which is really unique and interesting given that we don't have, anything like that right now. And not only do we fight them, they've said that these new creatures will be much smarter than the other AI. And you can see here, they're doing dashes, they're doing rolls, they're doing, combos, which is hopefully very challenging. I'm hoping these are quite difficult. They've said it is going to be, but you never know until you play it. But the most interesting feature here is every single one of these will use different items. And if they beat you, they will run away and escape. But if you beat them, you can see here at the top of the screen, every time you see their health bar, underneath it shows what items they have equipped. So this guy's got Contour of Crimson and the 3 dragons, as it's 2 equipped items. If you beat it, it will drop those 2 unique items, which is really, really cool. So, we get to fight these unique enemies and have a chance of getting their really cool items. So I think this is interesting. They've shown 6 available Exiles. So that's very exciting. I don't know how unique they will be. Will the mage that's shown always be, an ice mage using ice abilities? Or could we come up against like some really, really OP build that just one-shots us? I think that's quite exciting. I hope it's very random. I hope it's very challenging. And I hope it's like different every time. But yeah, that's the first thing. Going to definitely make, mapping around interesting if, they just randomly spawn and really throw you off your track. So yeah, that's the first big feature. The second one is Wisps. Azmerian Wisps. This is the next second big feature. And this is where you encounter a enchanted wisp and you will follow it around. So if you've ever played something like Albion, where you have like the mists and you follow the little orb around and it takes you to a ball, it's kind of like that. You find these little floating balls of different type and different rarity, and you follow them around. Everything they pass through will become empowered, and you have to defeat them. If you can't keep up, if you can't defeat these monsters, it will get away from you and it will vanish, which is interesting. But if you manage to keep up with it, it will do a special effect. And they showed a few different types and a few different things, and they are enchanted by different animals. So they said like the bear, the owl, the fox, I think, things like that. And when it gets to its location, it will enchant a creature and all these effects will go off. So there's one where it shows like a bear pouncing on the ground. There's one where like cats are jumping over and like attacking everything. So there's lots of very cool effects and lots of very different things. And if you defeat these, you will get increased rewards. They also said there are sacred wisps, so like super rare wisps will have their own special effect. They showed one where every single creature that it passes through gets increased. So like magic to rare, rare to elite, elite to bosses. So everything kind of gets pushed up for massively increased rewards. And you can see these just look really, really interesting. So just encountering these in your map is going to be very, very fun. That's the sacred wisp there, which looks really exciting. It's kind of like finding like a legendary in the wild. So that's fun. And then for defeating these, we get a brand new type of reward. So they showed that for this, you get a reward called talismans. They didn't really say much about this, but these are socketable in your rune sockets. So where we put our rune sockets, where we put our socketable items, we can put these talismans. They showed the gloves give rage on hit. They show, reduce crit from the cat talisman, and these seem to be tied to the type of creatures. We don't really know what we're going to get for defeating, the sacred ones. Maybe we're going to get some like super special rune that's really rare, talisman that's really rare. Overall, very exciting. There is a brand new map as well, purely designed around these wisps with lots of extra stuff in. So overall, Very exciting. 2 big new endgame features. They haven't shown everything, but I will say I don't think that these 2 new endgame features are as prominent as, say, the ones that we have right now, like Ritual, where you go and do the rituals, you get the invitation to the king, you go and fight the big boss, and then you get the all the different omens, or you do the breaches, you fight the breachstone boss, you got breach rings and special loot tables. I don't think they're as involved as that, and they don't seem as, as league mechanic-y as they do, which is what, I was personally hoping for the Dawn of the Hunt, we'd get, in here and like the endgame crafting like that, with hunting animals and stuff. But either way, 2 new endgame features is great. If they keep adding more and more endgame content throughout the early access, we'll be in a very good spot on release. I'm curious what you think. I've seen some people say they're underwhelmed, but I personally already enjoyed the endgame, and this is more of it, so I'm pretty happy. But let me know what you think about these. Okay, now let's talk about the big changes to the endgame mechanics we already have. So right now we have rituals, and I've spoken a lot about rituals on this channel because rituals are some of the most RNG heavy things you can be doing. If you are unlucky, you can do rituals for an entire day and get no rewards. You can just be wasting your whole day. Because it's so RNG heavy on what you're going to get at the end, you farm all these rituals, you get a bunch of tribute, you go to spend it, and the items are just rubbish, and you've wasted that whole map. However, if you get a good item, if you were to go like here, and let's say you found an Omen of Sinstrel and Omen, that's 49 divines. Let's say you find an Omen of Sinstrel Erasure, that's 45 divines. So that's really good, very, very good. Not only that, but these items are what enable you to do the final endgame crafting, like the top 1% of crafting. So you have a really good staff, and it has like 3 really good stats, 1 bad stat. They are the items that let you roll away that bad stat and try and get something else. So it lets you like re-roll a prefix and get a better prefix. So they're absolutely massive, and I think most players will have never seen one, never had one. But with the big change coming in the next patch, every single ritual will be guaranteed to give 1 omen, which is massive. And hopefully that means we're going to see a lot more of the higher end omens, which will hopefully bring down the cost on the the exchange, and let more players do, I call it crafting, it's random rolling, but it'll help more players have a better deterministic craft of their favorite items. So massive win there. Okay, now for expeditions. I made a video a few days ago saying that unless they change anything in the new season, don't focus on expeditions because they don't really give anything. There's no real endgame system tied to expeditions. They're kind of a waste, and they're kind of like unfinished. Well, they've delivered. They now have a brand new system. So if you've never done expeditions, the way this works is you go and farm the expeditions in the map, and this will give you items. And if you go over here, you can use those items to roll for different items here. So you can use these exotic coins to roll this shop, and then you can use your artifacts over here to purchase items. That's pretty much it. And you can like roll the stats on the items, but overall it's a pretty half-baked system that doesn't really give you anything special that you don't just get from farming maps yourself. So here's the big new system, the Recombiner. What this does is it's a new system where you can put 2 items together, you use the artifacts that you get from expeditions, and you combine the 2 items. So the 2 stats, or the stats on each item, are pushed together, and it chooses one or the other to make this brand new item. They're both destroyed, and you get a new item. So if you've got really good stats on one and really good stats on another, and they're pushed together, you could make a Abyss endgame item. Alternatively, you could lose 2 fairly good items and end up with nothing. So it's more crafting that's really just, RNG. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a really good way to, say you've got like +4 to spells or, projectiles or something, and then you've got like something really, really good, like a really high damage roll, and then they roll and they both go on the same item. That's just really exciting. And it also means that if you do have like 1 good roll on an item and everything else is bad, it still has good use in the Recombiner because you could just get that really good roll on an otherwise really good item. I don't know. I'm excited for it. And I'm glad to be able to do some expeditions again because I do think they're really fun. They just weren't really worth it. So yeah, big W. I'm excited. Let me know what you think of this one. Okay, now let's talk about the changes to the Atlas, the maps, and the towers, because I think that is the #1 thing that needed changing. It was the thing that felt like it needed the most quality of life, fixes, improvements, and it got them. So this whole, I'll try and summarize it, but this whole reveal was like a few hours long, but I'll try and summarize it as well as possible. So the first big frustration was when you first got to Endgame, it was it was too much of an uphill battle. So when you got to endgame, your build sucks. You don't know how to make a good build. You don't have any items because you haven't farmed anything. You just finished the story, and you went to Doriani and he said, go farm 3 maps, go farm 5 maps, things like that. And that's how you got your Atlas points. They're changing the main quest. Now when you go on there, when you get to endgame, you'll have a quest to go to these corruption zones, complete a thing called like a corrupted nexus, and that will purify everything around it. And that's how you'll progress through the story, through the the end game story, and get your Atlas points, which is interesting. We'll be getting 10 more Atlas points, so we can have more points to spend there, which is good. And then when you're playing in the maps as a newer player, a new to end game, you will get additional portals. So when you go to your, if you go to your map tab, the maps like this, so a basic map with no affixes on it like this, will have 6 portals. So you have 6 chances. And I've seen people complain about this saying, oh, it's too easy. It's not. It's not too easy for people that are doing the proper endgame. Because when you're brand new to endgame and your gear sucks, you go to your first, say you find your first breach. You find the big purple hand, you're brand new, and you go, ah, there's a breach. And you go in it, and you fail it, and all the loot's just on the ground, and you never even get to pick up your first breach splinter. That feels awful. It feels really bad, and a lot of people just got frustrated and just stopped playing. So I think it's a good thing. Now newer players get 6 chances in an early map. Additionally, only the map for your level will drop. So if you're doing a tier 5 map, you will not get like tier 2 maps drop, which is good. And then as you put more affixes on it, so when you get to when you have something like this, a super juiced out map, you'll only have 1 portal. So when you're doing like a really hard end game map, you will only have 1 portal. So it is still challenging. So I don't see the complaint there. I think it's a really, really good change that is good for everyone, really. I think it's great. Another thing they're making easier is you don't have XP loss on the pinnacle bosses, which is good as well. It's the same thing of when you're trying something, when you're trying to test your build in a breach, it's punishing as a new player. When you're trying to try the pinnacle boss and learn it, it's punishing to have an XP loss. So yeah, I think that's a big W, good change. Now the real change is the towers. Okay, so towers. Towers are a very divisive part of the game. Some love them, some hate them. I've always said the same thing. The main problem with towers is there is too much busy work, too much boring stuff needed with towers to get to the fun stuff. So say you're trying to set up a really good part of the map, like breaches, for example, because I've got some here. Say you want to set up some really good breaches like this, where I've got like 8, 9 different affixes on this node that make the breaches better, more rewarding, more fun. What you have to do is you have to work your way to a place where lots of towers are clustered together. So you can see here there's like 4 or 5 towers. You got to clear all the maps to the tower, clear the tower, which isn't rewarding anyway, and then you've got to put the breachstone tablet in, clear to the next one, clear to the next one, to set up a really good node, which is a lot of work for, just a couple of maps that are going to be fun. Whereas all you really want to do is just do a bunch of fun maps. They're changing that, and the change is much better than I expected. So the first big change we're getting to towers is they are reducing the amount by 2/3. So there'll only be 1/3 as many towers on the map, which is huge. But these towers will be super powered. So these towers will have like 100% more influence than the ones we have right now. So you can see here, like there's a tower here, it says 100% influence maps around it, which is interesting. And then he has a tablet, and he places a tablet into the tower, and the tablet has 14 maps in range. He puts it in, and it says 28 maps in range will contain a breach from one tower. So you just get to a tower, run it, and you get 28 exciting maps all around you. And the best part about this, there are 3 slots on the tower. There are 3 slots on the tower, and if you complete a tower with a waystone that has more modifiers, so like 3 modifiers on the waystone, you will unlock the 2nd slot in the tower. And then you get the 3rd slot in the tower, and you can just put 3 stones, 3 tablets into 1 tower, and just have a massive map all around you, just filled with really fun content. This is exactly what I think a lot of us wanted. They teased a while ago that towers were now going to have mechanics in them. So they showed a breach in a tower and it looked kind of goofy. And lots of us were just scared they were doubling down on towers. But no, they've listened to feedback and they've changed it perfectly. Towers are now rarer. You find them, they're more fun, and they are super, super rewarding. Massive, huge change to the end game that personally is the thing I'm most excited for. It's going to reduce the burnout. It's going to help grinding so much more. I love it. Let me know what you think about this. I'm curious. There are some people who love towers and didn't want them changing. Not sure why, but let me know if you're against this change or if you like it. But that's pretty much everything. There are some more like unique changes to crafting. There's some new maps, and these maps can drop like different items. There are some different changes come in, some small things come in. But this is kind of an overview of all the big endgame changes. I hope this has helped. Do consider subscribing if you want to see more. 1 week, we're jumping in. We're going to be, making builds, guides, playing it every single day. I'm very excited. But yeah, I want to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.